All right, good afternoon. Thank you for coming back. We're working on the Monitaur today. We're going to be adding in purchasable items. Where we're currently at is that we have purchasable items defined here in the back end. So underneath my data, my migrations, my seeded data, you can see here I've got purchasable items set up here for the number of projects, the number of client applications, and the number of rate limits here. So messages being sent to the server. And then additionally, there's one donation. Ew, NGRX. It's all right. I mean, you can do everything you need to with the behavior subjects. So it's sort of just an unneeded layer. What's NGXS? I don't know anything about that one. So we have our purchasable items, which are being returned here in my store. Here. And then we have these defined as a purchasable item and a purchasable item rate limit. So when I run the application here, and we look at the purchasable items that I have defined, this is our immediate setup. It should be responsive. It should try to keep things the same sizes. And I've made these icons here to represent each of our different types. You can click on them and it loads cart at this time, but cart is not populated. So this is what we're going to work on right now. So if I look over here at my app, underneath my underneath my features for cart, here it looks like the first thing I have is this title, which I don't need. And then this is sitting inside of a second card, which I don't need. So this is my purchasable line items.length. Okay, so we're going to add in a number of purchasable line items, which is an purchase line item array. And then we're going to have a function in here called update quantities. It's an Angular lib for Redux built by Angular, for Angular by Angular devs, not a port of React's BS. Well, I don't think NGX store is a port of Redux. I think it's its own thing because the Redux library is only like 2 kilobytes. It's like really small. So like, I think I even have it here in my reducers for app. All I really am importing here is this new state function as well as and then the NGRX is for the, I think it's just the pattern and the store itself. Oh, NGSX is a mirror of React's way of doing it. They don't use decorators and other core Angular features. Interesting. I have to look at that now. Okay. So in here, we're going to want to have a table, right? So I'll look at my shared dashboard here for this table. And we can grab it here. And I'm going to add this in here. And then, sorry to do this, I need to take a short break. I'll be back in 5 minutes. Thanks for staying with me. I'll see you in just a bit. So I missed something in chat here. John Stryker says, I always thought, hey, why am I learning bytes and stuff related to bytes if I'm never going to use it? And then 3 weeks ago, I started working on a project where I make a man-in-the-middle API that makes this slightly complex implementation of the RS-232 standard. I use everything but the DSR and DTR pins with the help of C#'s serial port class. So I can make communications between a few devices that don't like to use the standard as it should be used. Most of the crap out there is half completed at best, which is a pain in the butt. John says, luckily enough, Stack Overflow has some of the answers I needed regarding byte array conversions and two's complement. That's awesome, man. I'm glad you were able to figure it out. That sounds really complicated. And then during the break, we had Zach say squirrels. I love them. All right. So where we were at is that we were bringing in this AG grid here. So we can just bring in our code base from alerts dashboard. And then we're going to pull in here also on the cart component a on grid ready, a after view checked, a on page size changed, and that should be it. We don't need to worry about this resizing things on changes because we're not using input parameters. And we're also going to need to have these three properties: page size, grid API, and resize. Pardon me. So this should automatically resize our grid to fit vertically or horizontally and spread things out appropriately across the size of the div. So what we're going to do now is we need to add in here where are we drawing the columns? They're being passed in here. So they're being prepared by the parent. So in this one, I need to have my column definitions. Okay, and then we're drawing these down here after the data comes in so that we can change colors and stuff. So let's copy this draw table and bring this one in. And when we bring this in, we can ignore these things for now. And what we're going to be working with here is a purchase order lines, right? These. So if I open up my interfaces class, and I jump down here to the, Keith, are you still out there, buddy? I purchase line item. It looks like we have a couple of different things. We're going to have the first one be quantity, which will be sortable and with no selection. And my field is going to be order quantity. Okay, my second one is going to be the purchase order line name. You don't have a total on that? That's interesting. And again, same thing here. We just need field purchase order line name. I'm trying to figure out MySQL in .NET 3 Core 3.1. So are you using Entity Framework for MySQL? Or are you using something like Dapper? And then this one is going to be our name. And then this is going to be the cost, right? We'll call it a price. And this one, we're going to do this for my purchasable item dot unit cost times my order. So here we're going to get we're going to make a new function here called get. It's going to be called a purchase order line subtotal. And maybe this is already being defined in this cart service. get subtotal. This is for everything in the cart. So we can have this again here as a order line, which is a I purchase line item. And then what we're going to do is, if my line item quantity is 0, then what I want to do is I want to return 0, because this needs to be returning a number. And then here, this is my discount applied. So if my line item dot purchasable item and discount applied is not null, then we're going to subtract it so that we get the opposite of it. And then we're going to calculate it here like that. Entity most likely reading up on it, such a pain. Don't you just change the driver and then it's the same? So back over here, I'm going to have this as a get subtotal, and we want to add in here my cart service. And this one, we want to get a purchase or a purchase line item, which is an I purchase line item. I have to get that from the other reference. And this one's going to have a value getter here with no style. And this is going to be get purchase line subtotal, which will be a number. And we want to return that here. And then up here, we want to have my get purchase line subtotal, which is my function. And then I'm going to do this function and pass in just the data. And that's going to be it. Okay, we need to have a after view checked here. And then when I look at my cart service, I see I have these purchasable line items. I really want these to be observable. So let's make these a purchase line items of a new behavior subject of my purchase line items. which means you also want to have a private purchase line items, which is a I purchase line item array. Why does it matter if you get the subtotal there? It doesn't. Okay, so what you want to do now is you want to get your purchase line items here and remove them. And then you want to do a this dot purchase line items dot next, and we're going to pass in my this dot purchase line items. I don't understand why I'm getting this subtotal everywhere. Seems like I am using it here. And then this time we want to do this dot purchase line items dot next of my this dot purchase line items. Same thing here. This is where I'm creating the PayPal transaction. Okay. So the only two errors I have are here and here. So is this just for coding? So is this coding for a site or an app? The website is called the Monitaur. It's up and live. We're working in Angular CLI. So this is definitely for website, web application. If it worked like that, then yes, but there is no out of the box solution for VS Code. Oh, wait, why are you using .NET Core 3.1 in VS Code? Okay, so now we have these things as observable. So that way my cart component can have a new purchasable line item subscription. And then we want to do this as a on destroy. And then in here, I want to do this dot one of these dot unsubscribe. And in the on init, we want to subscribe it. And in my cart service, I need to have a get purchasable items, get purchase line items, which is an observable of I purchase line item. And then you're going to do this dot purchase, what was it called? Purchase line items. as observable. Okay, and so then back over here, get purchase line items, and we can subscribe this to be my purchase line items, which is an I purchase line item array. And then we just want to do this dot purchasable line items equals purchase line items. Okay. So in your clear cart, well, I guess you have something here called update quantities. I don't think you need that. Okay. Okay, we want to have a loading variable in here, which is a Boolean. I want to have a subtotal, which is a number, which is equal to this dot cart service dot get subtotal. Okay. I want to have this PayPal config, and this I'm pulling from a different project, Ali Chat, which we also wrote on stream. I want to challenge. It's coming along super easy so far, but oh my God, there's a lot of tutorials that are written by idiots. Yeah. Yeah, you're on that other side of things now. So we're going to import iPayPal config. And now here is my client ID, which I want to get from my globals service. So let's add that in here as a private global service called global service. We'll worry about that one in a minute. Create order on server. This is going to be my second. What is that pointing at? This is going to point to my URI, which is a this.globalservice.API URL. And we want to do this in here. I don't remember exactly how to do that shorthand. That's okay. And then I want to add in the slash. And we're going to do this at my PayPal. And we're going to call this a oh, come on. This is going to be an authorized order. Hey there, Zach. How are you doing? Welcome to the channel. Thank you so much for that follow. If you haven't, make sure you check out our Discord, discord.pixelhorrorstudios.com. I also put all these videos up at youtube.pixelhorrorstudios.com. Thanks again for that support. Okay, so that looks right. We want to add in here an OAuth service. because I need this to use the Angular OIDC2 in order to add the bearer token. And then we're going to create my purchase order here. And then when we get the authorized, we're going to have this authorized callback data. And we're going to say, are you sure you want to confirm the purchase? And now what I want to have is a private mat dialog called material dialog. And then we're also going to add this confirmation modal component. And now this one is going to be here, which is called create order. Wait, this one is create order, and this one down here is authorize order. And then what we want to have is a new router. And then also we want to have my toaster service for notifications. And here, when you're checking out, we want to re-request our user. So that's going to be done in the HTTP service. And it's going to say this.http.request payload. And that's it. We'll worry about that ID in a second. Okay, on my script here, I also want to have a flag above it for my add script so that I only add it one time. My style is PayPal responsive and vertical. Okay, we're never drawing the table. So we can do that after we get these. We don't need to do it every time. So I can just do this dot draw table. And this is going to want to get my subline, this dot purchase line subtotals, which is this. Okay. Let me go add in my API key here real fast, please. Just a second. Okay, and then over on my global service, let me add it in here. Okay, and then let's close that one. Now we're back. So now when I come in here and I look at a purchasable item and I select it, it's now showing me something, but it's not the grid. So it's not drawing. It says that it can't read get purchase line items on ng and net. So it's where we're drawing the cart, this. And that's right. I wonder why that wouldn't take. My scoping should be fine. Let's look at that again. So it doesn't have the cart service in here. So we want to add in here a cart service as a cart service. Okay, just a second. You also need to have in here a cart service. Which is a this.cart service. Hey, Params, how are you doing? Welcome to the channel. Thank you for that follow. Not quite. Ah. This should be fine. This should be fine. Okay, let's see if what those give us. I don't even see us getting to them. I wonder where this is failing. It doesn't seem to be failing where I think it is. So let me just comment this out for now. And then we'll get rid of these two. And then here as well. Let's see where this is dying. get purchase line items is not a function. So if I got rid of that and turned this into a purchase line items, I just subscribed onto those. These are called purchase line items, not purchasable. And there we go. Now we've got a table. And it's also got a subtotal, which is nice. It looks like that it did load PayPal correctly. The sizing could use some help. And it never loaded the data here. So up where we're subscribing on the behavior subject, can I do a console.log this.purchase line items? And then on the HTML itself, we're going to change this to be on purchase line items. Perfect. Now subtotal never got calculated. Okay. Interesting. So you only want to do this when your purchase line items.length is greater than 0. And otherwise here you want to report on the subtotal. It's interesting this didn't take. That looks like that should have worked. Let's try this one again. Purchase line item of undefined. So let's add this in here. Didn't add it. Cannot read property cart service if undefined. Right. This is what I thought it would fail. So now we're going to add in here a cart service, which is a cart service, and then a cart service, which is an iCart service. And then a this dot cart service. Stop undefining things. What are you talking about? Try it again. Just a second. Now it should work. And let's go up here and change my, well, that's okay. We can change it in script. There. Now that never calculated my price. So let me go ahead and log my line item here. There's my unit cost. And my quantity. Order quantity. And your discount applied is 1. So let's jump over here and change the discount applied. And we'll run my migration again. Hey there, Cloaked. How are you doing? It's been a bit. It's good to see you again. And now my items should be updated. And they are. So now when I look at that again, been a while, been off Twitch. How are you doing? I took a long break. I've been gone for like 3 weeks. It's good to be back. Okay. We need to call it a project 1, client app 1. We can make it cards. That's fine. Purchasable line items, we add it, and now it has our price. And our subtotal is calculated. So first thing is on my web UI for this, I want to change on the cart these updates to be primary. And we want to do appearance equals outlined. And we're going to call these matte stroked buttons. What do you mean it's a curious way to refactor code, but it works, I guess? What are you talking about, refactoring code? Okay. There we go. So update quantities used to be a modifiable field. It's not anymore because I'm putting it in this grid. So we're going to say that we're going to have a update quantity and then a remove item. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and add this in here as the update quantity and a remove item. When you change the backend data template, search and replace and document. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's because it's defined for every purchasable item. Okay, the next one is we want to look up AG grid value formatter for currency. So here we can have a value formatter, which is equal to my function of the params here, which is going to be a money sign plus my params dot value. Let's see if that works. Yeah, that took. Okay. Hey, Quam76, how are you doing? Thank you for that follow. Appreciate it. If you have questions, don't hesitate to pop them into the chat. The next thing we want is an AG grid. We want to do a size of a column. So this one where is it? Width. So it looks like I can just add in a new width here of like 50. Yeah, that worked. So we want this to be like 20. And then we want this one to be 30. Perfect. So that's in percent. So we want this to be 30 and this one to be 40. I think that's okay. Let's do 25 and 25%. Didn't seem to resize automatically. It doesn't seem like it's hiding that. Very well. So let's just get rid of those. And we'll just leave this one. Okay. Now what we need to do is we have this new remove item. So I want to get my selected cell from AG grid. So we're going to do AG grid get selected row. Row selected. You do this on the node. So I believe I have this already figured out. For example, if I look at my projects component, on row selected. So that's only if you click it. So let's look for nodes in this project. This is what we want. Okay, so in my cart service, we want to get the AG grid. Which is this. And otherwise we want to say this dot toaster service dot error you know please select an item first in order to remove it. And we'll just say select item. Okay. Quantity 25, name 50, price undefined or something. Oh, yeah, maybe. That's a good idea. We can try it. Okay, remove item doesn't seem to be doing anything. Oh, here we go. And in my AG grid itself here, we want this to be a row selection single. Okay, and then here's my node of 0 with my data. So in the alerts component, this dot nodes of the first one dot data. You can say this dot cart service dot update quantities. Let me see here. Remove purchase line item from cart. What ID is this removing? Is it the purchase line item or is it the purchase item? It's the purchase item. So that is a selected nodes of e.data.id. Purchasable item.id. Beautiful. Okay, my cart title looks wrong. This. So if I look at account, no, that's right. Okay. Okay, back in the carts component, we want to have this as a confirmation modal now. Right here. Are you sure? Are you sure you want to remove the selected item from the cart? Like that. Okay. Update quantity, we need to change that, right? Because for update quantity, I want this to have a modal in here. So we'll do this one in a little bit. Alert, to do, add, modal. Okay. If I look back at my other app here, we want to, at the end of this dot subtotal equals this dot cart service dot get subtotal. Just a second. Because now everything goes through the PayPal app. What are you using for state management concerning state of the cart, for example? State of the cart is being managed just in a singleton service called cart service. But for the app itself, I'm using NGRX store, so Redux. And now this one, can I just say my style equals a max width here of like 15 enums, EMs. Okay, that looks right. That looks right. Can't match any routes to cart purchases. That's fine. We haven't added the route yet. Let's do that. In my feature cart routing, we can add in the purchases, which is a purchase component. You like it more than NGXS, or just because you know NGRX and are used to it? I haven't used NGXS. I only just heard about it. Actually, today. Okay, on my cart component, when we subscribe our data, we want to size the columns to fit. And then we have a circular dependency in cart routing module. There we go. Okay. Purchases works. Update quantity needs to have its modal. So let me see what happens now if I was to click on PayPal. Okay, it says it failed because it can't find my endpoint because like that. And then that. Try it again. Go to my purchasable item, click the PayPal link. Okay, it says unexpected position. .500 error code was sent. So let's check the front end, the back end now. Check it out. It's really handy, but less complex than NGRX. Yeah, NGRX is kind of a pain in the ass to get set up, but you can do all the same stuff just by using behavior subjects. So here's my create order endpoint. And here's my authorize order. So if I were to come in this again, this Keith, NGRX is trash. I got an error here, so let me fix that, which is when I'm sizing my columns to fit here. I don't need to do that. Okay, we'll add a purchasable item. Give it a PayPal click. There it is. We're creating the order. I don't want to show the order details, so let me make sure I am able to get everything. I get the body. And it says synchronous operations are disallowed. So it looks like I need to change my backend here to be a read to and asynchronous. Let's try it again. Okay, let's go ahead and run this through. Okay, it deserialized and it didn't give me the right info. We're going to look at what was exposed here. I did get my order ID. Okay, that did take. We're now checking out with PayPal. Okay, I'm paying. Okay, I'm authorizing it. It's going to need the same thing again here. So let's try it again. Only teams that can't build real software and can't come up with their own data management solution would need to rely on something like a store. Redux is there to solve the problem of crappy developers. Well, that's what behavior subjects are for, right? So many developers are now blindly using it, which is sad. I've seen stores with a whole 5 properties being stored, and those properties were in a single class. But just because you have a hammer doesn't mean everything is a nail. That's true. I like it for most everything. All right, here we go again. We're going to add a purchasable item. Click the PayPal button. It's going to create my order. That click through. Okay, we're confirming it. We're doing my authorize. It's given me my response data, which I'm deserializing and then storing it. I have my response. And now I'm creating my purchase. Hi, welcome home. I'm on air. Okay, I'm closing this. And now when it's running through the transaction, it said it failed for some reason. So let's try it again. Okay, it's failing because it says can't deserialize. Something couldn't deserialize. So let's check to see where that's happening. Purchase line item, it says, is failing. Let's check it again. Hello, I'm trying to win a competition by locating an image on a website which has a hyperlink that takes you to a €300 watch. I haven't been able to do it, but maybe you'd be interested in having a break from it. I'm not really 100% sure what you're trying to do. Are you looking at all websites on the internet and you're trying to find a picture? Okay, let's go ahead and run this card. Yeah, no problem. I'm sort of with you. I'm trying to understand. Okay, let's see where this is failing. We have one type of data here. And it's because we're doing it as an array. But it won't work like that. So on the cart where we are so on your cart service, purchase order request. This is to create the purchase order. You're stringifying your purchase line items, which is an array. That's why. That's why. Now to work. Easter egg hunt. There are two different kinds of Easter eggs. The red Easter eggs are hidden all around our website. Click on it to get the 20%, which will be added. So you're looking for image recognition within the app itself. They don't have a great sitemap. I guess like that. Yeah, it's going to be rough, man. You're going to need to do image analysis is the only way I'm thinking of it, because they're going to have this thing embedded somewhere so that you're going to actually have to like physically see it. You know what I'm saying? All right, let's go back to our purchases here and try this out. Okay, we take the payout, we accept it, it cranks through. Okay, the data looks right. It's created it. Oh, almost, almost. It still failed, but we're getting closer. This time it failed. Here, for some reason. Let's try it again. He says the easiest way would be to download the whole site every hour and then do a diff and all the files downloaded. You'd see the diffs. Text scrubbing would be super easy and fast. Yeah, but what are you text scrubbing for? It's an image, right? You have to do image recognition. When I'm looking at this, my purchasable item ID is 0. Which means that in my models, purchase order request, you're stringifying your purchase line items. So let's do a console.log of your purchase line items here. Let me look at this create PayPal transaction. That looks right, your transaction. You're returning it. Try it again. Key says, I found a red egg. Then you're placing an image somewhere, which would be URI changes, which is text. I was imagining they were embedding it in images. All right, when I look at this, I do have a purchasable item with an ID. Okay. So I don't think it ever gave me the purchasable item ID, right? It didn't. Purchasable item ID, which is a number. And this should fail now somewhere, wherever I'm using that. There it was, right here. So here, let me check something here. My connection speed test. Speed looks fine. All right, that was weird. Okay, so over here, we want to say that my purchasable item ID is my purchasable item.id. Now we can test it again. Purchasable items will do a payout. Okay, we're looking now at my response. We're creating my purchase. We're deserializing it. I have my purchasable item ID. It took. And then we're applying the purchases and we close it out. And it worked. And then when this is done, it should have taken me to my checkout route. So if I look at my cart here, when I check out, you're navigating to checkout or checkout failed. Okay. And this needs to be cart.checkout. And then over here, we want to apply those purchasable items. So in here, we're going to add my application user, which I don't have. So we want to say get application user, read application user from my ID. And what you want to do here is you want to do a all-in-one transaction. So what that means is you can't use this existing one. You've got to go up here to your update application user and grab your code. And we're going to update application users, and we're going to set my number of projects equal to my number of projects, where your ID is equal to your application user ID, and it's active. And this one is going to be a new one of these where we're going to have two properties. The first is my number of projects, which is going to be equal to my application user dot number of projects plus my purchasable item dot quantity. And the other one was application user ID. Okay. This next one is going to be the same thing, except it's for client applications. Okay, for your donation, nothing happens. And you can always go in and look at the transactions immediately. You don't need to do like a new transaction table for this, because every one of these purchases is going to have a transaction associated with them, just as a purchase with records. So then the rate limit here is we want to set my rate limit type and we're going to say that this is my rate limit type. So this one we're going to say, if your purchasable item is a purchasable item rate limit DTO as an S, then we want to do this stuff. Like that. And that should be it. And that should update everything. Now, if we want to double check to make sure that everything is working correctly, what I want to do is on the front end, under my purchases component, under my projects component, I want to have here a maximum number of projects, and we're going to say that this is a max number projects. Now, if I look on my HTTP service, am I ever pulling that? I don't think I am. All right, application user. I don't see me using this anywhere. Right. So we want to have number projects, which is a number client applications, which is a number, and then we want to have a rate limit type, which is a number. So up here, underneath my reducers, we're going to take a project reducer, and we're going to change out this one here, and I'm going to call this application users dot actions. And we're going to change out project here with application user. And then again with the lowercase version. And then the uppercase version. Okay, and then we're going to take the reducer, do the same thing here as an application users dot reducer. I'm going to change out project here with application user. Same thing again here. And then finally a project with a application user. I don't care about this new state. Looks good. And so then finally, I need to make sure that I add this onto my index here. Actually, you have to do it for a couple ones. From your purchasable items reducer and your purchasable items action. And then whatever, we don't want to go through all that garbage again, okay? And then in my reducers module, I want to have in here one called application users, which is a application users reducer. And then on my payload, I want to have a new application user. And then we want to do a this.store.dispatch new set application users. And let's go look at this and change it to be application user singular. And then in the reducer, okay, needs to be an array. And then in here, we want to set my payload.application user. Now on the back end, I'm going to change that out again here, which is on your projects controller. I want to have the new payload type here called application user DTO. Call it my application user DTO, just called application user. And then we're going to add that in here as a application user equals await read application user asynchronous of my application user ID. We can run the back end. On the front end, I want to do a console.log on the payload. Okay, this is telling me that application users actions is failing because it is a singular. Here it is. And my application user is populated. So now I can, on my projects, have a new application user subscription, which is called a subscription. And then I want to have a new application user, which is an I application user. And then I'm going to do a this.application user subscription equals this.store.select application user. So it looks like I need to, on my app state, add in here a application users. like that. And then we need to destroy this. And let's move this to the init instead of on the constructor. And this is going to be a application user dot number of projects. Boom, working great. We need the same thing on this one for client applications. So if I look at my project, we want to have this same bit of text here. Maximum number of client applications. And this is going to be client applications. Number client applications. And then we want to do the same thing here with the application user subscription. The subscription. The unsubscribe. You also need to have a application user So now when I look at this and I go to projects, I can see my maximum number of client applications. Okay, when I look at my rate limit, let's do that one. Account. We want to have one like this. And we're going to say current rate limit. And this is going to be a rate limit type. But you want to get it as a get rate limit, which is going to be a number and you want to return a string. Like that. And then also an account, we need to make sure that we have the application user, the subscription, the unsubscribe, and so now when I come in here and I go to account, it says my current rate limit is at alert 5 minutes max. Now, if I was to change that, let me see what happens here. In my cart service, I seem to have a couple of console.logs in here. There. And there. Okay, we're going to let that pay out. Confirm it. Finish the app. Okay, we want to have loading symbols during PayPal transaction. It says catch. Okay, so I've got a problem now because I'm doing this and I'm not doing this in the transaction. Now it should be fine. All right, let's do another purchase here for my rate limit. Same issue. Must declare the scalar variable application user ID. Ah, that is true. One more try. Okay, let's go ahead and try it again. Let me go check out my application account first. Okay, we're going to purchase it. Pay it out. It works. And now when I go to account, it's now fixed. Okay. So what that means also then is on my payload, here, your item's rate limit, we want to do something special for this. So I want to do a for each var item in purchasable items dot of type purchasable item rate limit DTO. If my item dot rate limit type is less than if my application user, which don't I have that somewhere here? Yes. If my application user dot rate limit type is greater than, is less than the item rate limit type, then we want to add it. onto my selected purchasable item rate limits. And we're going to add in this one here. And then here. Now, if this works right away, our backend should already be filtering out the non-applicable purchases. Okay, and so now when we look at this and we do a login, and I look at my purchasable items, it's perfect. It does not show the rate limits because I'm already above them. So in the cart, let's go to my PayPal controller. And when you create your PayPal order, not that one. Because it's actually happening in here. When you're applying that item, you want to have a add to do here and verify not requesting an item that is not allowed. And then on the front end, all I want to add on to my carts, my purchasable items, is that this is only going to be this. It's called purchasable items rate limit dot length is greater than 0. And the same thing here on the container. Boom. Looks good. This needs some formatting here. So on the front end, we're going to say that on my account here, I want to switch on my rate limit type. And if it's a case, rate limit types dot alert 5-minute max, we're going to say that this is one alert every 5 minutes per client application. And then if it's my, let's go ahead and copy this a couple of times. This one's going to be 2 minutes, 1 minute, 30 seconds, and then 10 seconds. Okay, and when I look at this one in the back end, we have that set to 10 seconds. So when we look at this again now, because up here, you're just creating the initial transaction, but you haven't actually confirmed it. We'll do this in a second, okay? And then when I look at my account, boom, that looks much better. Okay, let's take a look at our material icons here. And I want to look for something that looks like money. Attach money. Like that. Looks good. This one, we want to add in here a description, I think, right? Maybe. Maybe we want to change the name of these. But that's looking pretty good. I wonder if we can move my NGX PayPal in the cart. To be right there. I mean, that looks a little better now that it's in the container. It's also responsive to the right size. Let's go ahead and do that change that was recommended to us for the cart component, where we change the width here to be 30 and the width here to be 30. So let's go ahead and change this to be 50 and then 70 and see how that looks. That looks better. So this update quantity doesn't work currently, because what we need to do for that is add in a new modal. So we can do that by doing an ng generate component in my shared components, modals. And we're going to call this one the quantity change modal. Okay, let's use our card here. Don't care about this background color. Don't care about that. Don't care about the content. So what this is going to be is change quantity. And then in the content, it's going to say div mat class equals mat h4. We're going to say enter the new quantity and then below this in actions I want to have that input box. So that looks like this. Projects input box. And this one's going to be called quantity. And your model here is going to be data.quantity. And this is going to be save quantity. And then we'll call this quantity. We're also going to add in here that this is required. And then you've got back here, which will be a primary. And then this one is the dismiss, which we're going to say as the save. Okay. On my component, we want to do this. And then on the TypeScript, we want to add in these bits. And this is going to be for a quantity changed component. And this one we're going to say as an interface called iQuantityChangedComponent, quantity changed modal data. And we're going to say that you have a quantity, which is a number, and a line item, which is an iPurchase line item. So you can just do this without all that and just do this as a iPurchase line item. Order quantity. Okay, we need to make sure that that's put as a in the index here. And this is going to be called a modals dot quantity change modal. And then we also want to have this as an entry component. And probably also as an exported one. And so now, when we're in the cart, and we click that button, we're going to do this. This is going to be a I quantity. It's called a, you don't need any of this stuff, right? Because this is just a quantity changed modal. And your data is your selected nodes. Because otherwise you're going to do this. You select an item first in order to update the quantity. Okay? So this is selected nodes of the first one dot data. Like that. So now when I look at this and I add it, and I say update quantity, enter a new quantity, 5. And in this you want to say update quantities. That's interesting. That doesn't seem right. Add purchase line item to cart. Let's look at what that's doing. So you want to have a new function here called update quantity, which is going to be a purchase line item, and then a quantity, which is a number. And you want to get the one where your purchasable item ID is equal to your purchase line item dot purchasable item ID. Of the first one. You want to say if your line item exists, then you want to update your quantity. And then you want to do your next for that item. And so this one, you can just do a update quantities. So this is update quantity. And your result here is going to be a I purchase line item. Like that. Okay, also on my modal, I want to add a CDK focus initial. And then we also want to say on my key.up, key up dot enter. Like that. And let's go change in this. Add this Mac card app to the card itself. Interesting, that totally didn't take. SpiceBoy201, thank you so much for that follow. Appreciate it. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to put them into the chat. Okay, we still said get text color on your modal component. Perfect. That updated correctly. It didn't update my table, but my sub quantity did update. I don't see where it failed there. Oh, because save quantity doesn't exist. Like that. So I never updated my table. So if I look at my cart, you're subscribing on those purchasable line items. But it seems like you need to redraw the table when that comes in. Yeah, that worked. Except you also want to do a if my this.grid API exists, then you want to size the columns to fit. Okay, you want to add a new column in here, which is called image. And we want to do this as a value getter. And you want to return your params.data.image URI. Like that. Okay, so I wonder if you can do this as a image source equals plus this plus my back tag. Probably not. One more thing. So here you want to say AG grid include a picture image. So this is the cell renderer. So I think I have an example of this. We can try that. Looks right, but the size here, let's go and look at my cart. I should have like a row height. Yeah, I do. So we could put this one at 1,000. And there it is. So back here, we could say style equals max height is, say, 100 pixels. Let's just try that. That doesn't look bad at all. On this one, we want to say the width here will be 60. And then we can move this whole thing up like that. Let's change our height here to be, let's add a class onto this called class equals cart image. And then we can say cart image and just have my style in here. Image. Interesting. Doesn't take it there. So we'll do that, and then we'll make this thing 50. Okay, that's looking pretty good. We could make this one 48. And then our width here can drop to be 40. Like that. Okay, when we're on the cart and we do the update quantity, we want to say if my selected nodes of 0.data dot, and I need to look at my purchasable item. Else you want to do this. And we want to say you cannot select, you cannot change the quantity for the selected item. Cannot change quantity. There we go. And on my cart service, when you want to add this item, if your purchase line item dot purchasable item dot type is equal to purchasable item types dot rate limit and this dot purchase line items dot filter x, where your x dot purchasable item dot type is equal to purchasable item types dot rate limit of 0. Then you want to say, and this one you want to add in here a toaster service. You want to say this dot toaster service dot error. You can only have one rate limit item in your cart at any one time. Remove rate limit item. Okay. And so now if we wanted to test this, we'll just run my migration here. We'll run the app. Okay, log in. This is a new login, so we'll go to purchasable items. We're going to add this one to our cart. And then we can go back to purchasable items and try to add another one to the cart. It won't let me. So I added a projects times 3 and a projects times 3. It's not adding them together, but that's okay. Can update the quantity to be 0. When that happened, it didn't refresh my items. You want to do a size columns to fit after this. And when you update your quantity, you want to say if your purchase line item dot quantity is less than or equal to 0, then you want to do a this dot purchase line items, and you want to splice the this dot purchase line items index of line item, and you only want to do one. Otherwise, you want to update your quantity like that. Can you teach me how to code? I can pay you in Taco Bell coupons. Is this guy live? How are you doing, Live Music TV? Make sure you join our Discord, as there's like 340 developers there. It's a great resource along your development journey. That's at discord.pixelhorrorstudios.com. Yeah, no worries. I'm here. I'm just working. I'm a broke college student, but here's some bits. Thank you for those 16 bits. Live Music TV. May I ask what you're studying? Thank you for the support of the channel. Oh yeah, another 16. Appreciate that so much, buddy. Okay, so this time when we added it and then we added it again, and I update the quantity to be 0, it removed it. So when you do a add purchase line item to cart, you want to do a this dot purchase line if my purchase line item this dot purchase line items dot filter the purchasable item ID is equal to purchase line item dot purchasable item ID. So if that exists, then we want to do this. Otherwise, we want to just push it. Okay, we're going to get the first one here, dot quantity plus equals to my purchase line item dot quantity. And then all you're going to do is push that out. Comp sci, very nice, very nice. How are you enjoying it? Let's go check it out now. We add it. Here's +6. Here's +6. It did it correctly. We update the quantity to be 10. That updated. It didn't auto resize it though. Okay, that's looking okay. Wonder why it's doing that. Because that should be subscribed here. But is that because I'm redrawing the table? It never got the table information because it never drew it. So could I add that here just to my init? Are you using Angular with the Material UI components for this? Hey, Continuum. I am. I'm using Material, but I'm also using a lot of other tools like AGGrid. Let's update that quantity to be 10. There we go. But it's not redrawing it. Okay, so then what we can do is I can just say, at the end of when you draw this table, we'll just do it. Oh, I can just do a this.resize equals true. Yeah, now it's working. Okay. And this one we can say this.resize equals true. So that way when we jump in here, and it should just doesn't appear like it's resizing exactly right when it first loads. When I look at my percentages, I wonder if these can be percents. Yeah, see, it's not resizing it when it first initializes. So let's go ahead then and change this from an ng on view checked to on after view update, right? After content checked. Interesting. after view checked. So we want to say Angular CLI, we want to do a event on refresh, on content refresh. I mean, you're on the right one. NG after view checked. So I think we're good. It's a little annoying it's doing that. But it's not the end of the world. Now, I wonder if this will let me select just one cell. Probably not. So, I mean, if there was a way to set the cell, it doesn't have a unique ID. So we would have to do a selector on that. So that's working, that's working. We haven't finished this yet, the past purchases. We also haven't finished the success and the fail. But we have a really good start. I'm out of time for the day. Thank you guys for staying with me. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to put them into the chat at our Discord, discord.pixelhorrorstudios.com. I also put all these videos up at youtube.pixelhorrorstudios.com. Appreciate it very much, guys, and I will see you. Well, actually, let me set this here 1 second. Let's say that we'll be here at 6:30 in the morning tomorrow. So thanks again, guys, and have a great rest of your day. I'll see you later. Bye, guys.